Sweet. I am not exactly late, but I'm not exactly early enough to get everything proper for Joelle, so, but we're getting better, I think, allegedly. So we're going to be talking about some crazy things, but one of my favorite clips is going to be happening first. I hope you like it. All right. We shall see if we're going live soon. I believe we are live, though. It says we're live. Okay. Good to go now, guys.
I believe in God, the Father Almighty, creator of heaven and earth. I believe in Jesus Christ, his only Son, our Lord. He was conceived by the power of the Holy Spirit and born of the Virgin Mary. He suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried. He descended to the dead. On the third day, he rose again. He ascended into heaven.
And there's President Trump.
And is seated at the right hand of the Father.
That was my favorite clip this week.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Good morning, guys. We're going to be talking about some men versus some killers, beta male killers. And I hope you like it. You can call in 888-775-3773 if you're watching live. So check it out.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, good morning, everybody. I am James Hake. I am host and producer of the Hake Report, and you're watching live Sunday morning, December 9th. And I was showing you guys some pictures of a couple of killers. One of them is an outright murderer, and the other one, I'm not so sure. But he was convicted of first-degree murder. The second one was James Fields Jr., and then the first one was Chris Watts, who killed his wife, pregnant wife, and her unborn child, and his two daughters, ages 3 and 4. And I want to talk about those guys, but first, I want to touch on the reason that I played that Trump clip. That was my favorite clip this week. President Trump not reading or reciting the Apostles' Creed. And it kind of goes into this whole romanticism and religion thing, because it's all so phony and fake. And I just liked how Trump wasn't participating. And he was just so, he's like those people that, when I would take my friends to church, some of them wouldn't sing. And I used to go to a church that sang and different Christian things, and they just wouldn't sing. Not because they were, partly because they didn't get it, or they didn't know the songs or whatever. They just didn't sing. And it reminded me of that, where he just doesn't get it. He's not into this. This is not what he's about. So he just didn't participate. And it's funny because I grew up totally, totally Christian. And to this day, I'm still with that. And I never really heard about or knew the Apostles' Creed except for one time from my oldest brother. He mentioned it, and I don't even remember what context it was. It might have been into Christian music context, where maybe in a Christian band, Christian rock band, these guys were reciting it in the beginning of a song or something like that. So it really didn't have much sway and my family was totally, totally, totally Christianed out, if you will. So totally Christian, but they weren't these Methodist people, the fake Christians like Hillary Clinton or that guy Curry, whatever his name is. The guy who married, by the way, Meghan Markle, and Prince Harry, or whatever his name is. Yeah, that black, I guess he's a Methodist minister or something like that. Anyways, I just liked that, and I wanted to show it to you. That's an example of a man, a good man. I'm happy with President Trump. He puts a smile on my face and on my heart. But stuff that does not put a smile on my face is this injustice that's going around with the criminal justice system, where white guys like James Fields seem to be getting the raw end of the stick or whatever. They're not getting a fair deal. They're being, although he did commit some crimes, I believe. Yeah, he definitely committed some crimes. He is being called stuff that's like, it's really ridiculous. It's very one-sided. They don't point out what the left is doing wrong, what Antifa did wrong at this Charlottesville rally. And I'll get into that in a sec. But there was a couple of things that I forget every month, I should say. And one of them is the men's forum. We just had our men's forum at Bond. And I like to do write-ups about those men's forums. You're looking at the picture here, if you're watching. And I like to show these, I like to do little write-ups about what happened, just generally, nothing too specific. I don't out anybody's personal business, because otherwise I would be banned from the meeting. And also, it's not right to do that anyways. So at the meeting, we had a lot of guys showed up, and we just talked about real things, real issues. Or some of us talked about stuff that's real to us, but it may not be actually real. One guy talked about really wanting a healthy relationship with the opposite sex, which is, I guess, is a good thing to have, of course, but it was kind of consuming to him. And then another guy was super into his career, or what he wanted his career to be, but he couldn't let it go, but he was saying, I'm letting it go, but he's just so passionate about it. And Jesse talks about passion, and Joel doesn't like the word passion because it just doesn't sound right, because I don't think it is right. It's, we're supposed to be dispassionate, and that's a good thing to be dispassionate. But so much of the time, like, especially young people are raised to be like, what do you want to do in your life? Follow your passions. And the kids, up until they're grown-ups, they're like, I don't know what I want to do. And so it's really a trick to be chasing after your passions and stuff like that. Because one guy who came in to the Entrepreneur Academy recently meeting, he asked if you should follow your passions or follow the opportunities. And following opportunities is much smarter. Bill O'Reilly, who at one point was very successful, he's still kind of successful. He said, when you get an opportunity, you take it. And I thought that was good advice. Another thing that I forgot to get back to, I believe it was last week, somebody called in, a guy called in saying that he was looking at prior church excerpts, church services, where, for example, we had an intervention. Not we, but Jesse held an intervention in church on this young man, Joel, who this guy was referring to as a beta male because he was still living at home at age 25 or whatever. And he asked, this guy was very talkative last week, or it was 2 weeks ago, whatever. He asked how long it took for Joel to overcome being a beta male and to move out and stuff like that. And so I wanted to give Joel the opportunity to do that. I hope your mic is on. Yes.
I kind of forgot. So he asked
how long it took you to change, or how long it took for you to move out, or whatever. And I just wanted to mention that briefly.
Yeah, no, just really quick. It was as soon as, first when Jesse said that you need to move out, I thought it was just insane. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Because I had like a different, I guess the normal millennial thought process of like, why do I need to move out if I'm not ready yet?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And then Jesse just kept, pounding it. And then one day I was kind of like, oh, well, that kind of makes sense. I shouldn't be at home at 25.
Right.
So I was looking for a job, and Jesse knew I was looking for a job. And then 2 weeks after I started going to the church, he said, "Oh, this job opened up here at Bond as an audio engineer. Would you like to take it?" And I said, "Heck yes." So I took the job, and then my first paycheck, I got a car and moved out, and then it's just been different ever since. So right away, my first paycheck, I was gone.
Nice. Yeah, it is interesting about this millennial thing where I don't know if it's because of all the immigrants coming in. I don't think it is just because of that, because with among my friends, most of them are Hispanic or Asian, and most of them really didn't move out until like they really had to, or you know whatever. Many of them just didn't move out, and even among my siblings and me, we didn't really move out. Well, 2 of them moved out because they got married, but nobody really moved out until they got married, and some of them got married late. And I wouldn't have. I moved out, and then I moved in, and I moved out, and I moved back in,
Right.
and because the people that I was moving out to live, kind of share the rent with, they kept on getting married. So I have to move back. But after I had moved back for the second or third time, and I was living there for like a year or so, and then I came across Jesse's church, and like the first time I showed up, he was like, "You got to move out." And so I think it took me a few months to get out, but
Right.
yeah.
It's crazy how, like, we've talked about this before, but it's like, it's so common sense that you should be out.
Right.
But I was convinced that it wasn't a big deal because cousins, friends,
Right.
neighbors,
Everybody.
community, everybody I knew, like even in my neighborhood, still lived at home. Friends that I grew up with, I would still see at 25, and they're leaving their house going to work. So it's like you start to believe, like, oh, well then maybe, I mean, just Satan just starts to get tricky.
Right.
And you start to believe all kinds of stuff, like, oh, maybe nothing's wrong with staying with your family for a long time.
And they excuse it by saying it's economically wise or something like that.
Right.
Spoiler alert says they have the same problem in Japan. Apparently, it's an issue in highly advanced societies. Maybe.
Wow.
Maybe. And it's allegedly it's harder for younger people to really make it rich, even though like we're pretty well off, everybody is, and really
Right.
make it on their own and buy houses or homes or whatever. And meanwhile, like the boomers and all those who are doing fine for themselves, maybe some of the Gen Xers, are able to take care of the kids, the adult children, and it's a mess. It's not smart, but they don't realize that that's not right to do. And like this whole thing of paying for your kids' college and stuff. What a mess. What a scam.
Right.
Paying for your kids' college, paying for your kids to be like brainwashed against the religion that you were raised in,
Right.
and everything else. What a mess. And so anyways, like this reminds me of like this James Fields guy. He has a crazy family story, and I'll get into it in a minute. Did you want to mention anything about the men's forum? It was crazy. It was good.
No, it was. Let me put my thing.
It was crazy. It's good It's
Yeah.
my favorite meeting of the month. Like, and I love
agree.
the church services and everything, but
Yeah, no, something's different. Well, it's crazy because I don't know. I usually don't go anymore because I teach on Thursdays now.
right.
But I was able to get off an hour early this time, and then I went there, and just every time that I've been, it's just something. It's just crazy. And then there was like double the amount of people since the last time I went.
Yeah.
But they're just always good. It's just you always get something from them.
Yeah, they're growing, and guys. Some of the guys are really getting it, taking it, and running with it, which is, like, I've said this repeatedly, but it's so nice to see that.
I agree.
So, yeah, that's cool. Let's see. What should I do first? This James Fields guy, I almost called him a kid. He's 21 now, I believe. Went to this Unite the Right rally in, I want to say 2017 or so. August or so, and it's been over a year since it happened. This Unite the Right rally was a bunch of a lot of alt-right people. I guess some of them are white nationalists. I believe that David Duke is a white nationalist, and he went. And there's a lot of Richard Spencer went, and he was supposed to speak and all that stuff. And so they were protesting against the removal of this General Robert E. Lee statue that is in the middle of this liberal college town, I gather, called Charlottesville, Virginia. And by the way, that's where Tucker Carlson got into that confrontation with the gay Latino immigrant activist that was in Charlottesville at the club. But over who had reportedly said some filthy things toward Tucker's daughter, who's an adult now, but not that old. So at this rally, Antifa shows up, and all these college kids show up, and apparently, I'm guessing. And I know that Antifa showed up, and I know that a bunch of blacks, kind of Black Panther types showed up, like some of them had AR-15s, and then there were some militia guys who showed up, not taking sides, just keeping the peace, but they were like, doing the police's job because the police stood down. And so the police allowed Antifa, who did not have a permit, to go and harass and attack the alt-right and the Unite the Right people who did have the right to be there. And there were many, according to Richard Spencer, civic nationalists, which is what I guess we are. We're kind of alt-right people. We're nationalists, but we're not necessarily white nationalists. So there were many who were not neo-Nazis and stuff like that. But this guy, James I don't think it's Alex. I don't know. It might have been. James Fields Jr., 21-year-old, drove from Ohio, I believe, to this Charlottesville, Virginia thing. Texted his mother that he's going there, and she said, be careful, and he said, they better be careful. And because we've seen a lot of Antifa violence against anybody who's remotely on the right, including like Ann Coulter supporters and Ben Shapiro supporters and all that. So he drives his Charger that he bought with his dad's trust money, his dad had died before he was born, I believe, 4 months before he was born in a car accident. So he grew up without his father, by the way. And this guy, his mother is, I believe, disabled. That's beside the point. He's driving through, and in my opinion, he should have hightailed it like the opposite way of wherever the counter protesters were. The counter protesters being Antifa and anybody who calls himself anti-racist. He should have like found his way like away from there, but he didn't. And he was driving through and driving kind of fast. Maybe he's like I think he was driving kind of fast. Yeah, James Alex Fields Jr. Thank you, spoiler alert. So this guy is driving kind of fast, which can be offensive to people. People are like, hey, how come you're driving so fast? And so somebody hits him with a baseball bat, not him, but the back of his car, before he goes totally nuts. And so I don't know if he was afraid or angry. Probably both, but he just drives in and plows into a crowd and kind of like rear ends some vehicles. And I have some stuff from that, some footage from that I can show you guys. But I wanted to show a little bit of this New York Times article where they're just giving all kinds of like fake news or one-sided news at least. And this guy was caught later, and he's like, I was afraid, I didn't want to hurt anybody. And then they say that he actually killed somebody and many others were injured, and he was like, whoa, he gasped and he sobbed. This is all according to the New York Times article that I read. So this guy, pull up those New York Times piece stuff inside, killer white guy. Over a year later, he's convicted of first-degree murder just recently. And this should not be surprising to anybody because anything to do with white advocates or white nationalists or white whatever they're going to be coming down hard on them. So show the headline of the New York Times thing. Okay, this is good. 16 months after swastika-toting white supremacists swarmed the streets of Charlottesville. One of the demonstrators was convicted of first-degree murder Friday by a jury that found he intentionally drove his car into a crowd of counter-protesters, killing one woman and injuring nearly 40 others. So swastika-toting, I only saw like one guy with a swastika, and nobody nobody knew him. So I don't know. Although I do say that there was one group that their stuff is reminiscent of a swastika, the trad workers, whatever, and they do consider themselves nationalists, and I think they do consider themselves nationalist socialists. I think so, actually. But anyways, they weren't even carrying swastikas. They were carrying their own little logo thing. But anyways, show that one again. I want to show the other thing. It stirred James Fields Jr., 21, faces up to life in prison for the death of Heather Heyer, age 32, in a case that has stirred soul searching in a city that prides itself of being a liberal bastion. And the other charges include leaving the scene of a fatal accident. Now, this one is crazy to me, and I'm going to show a couple of clips in response to this. Because him being convicted of leaving the scene of a fatal accident, if you saw how they were acting towards this guy, you would not be blaming him for leaving the scene. Maybe he should have driven to, like, the police precinct. I can sympathize with that. But this guy basically had to get out of there. And so I'm going to show these two clips from... These clips are stuff that I found a year ago, over a year ago, from this channel that seems to have been shut down, called... Jesus something storybooks from Jesus. I don't know. It was an atheist channel, actually. Quickly, though, spoiler alert says, I think the Traditional Workers' Party has become a doormat after some personal legal problems of their founder, Matthew Heimbach, who's been having some trouble, yeah. And Matthew Heimbach has been on the show before when he was in college. He came on to Jesse's show when he founded the White Student Union. And then maybe once or twice after that. But he seems to be encountering a lot of personal troubles. And we can get into that a later time. I'm not really familiar with it. So let's play this clip of the 1A from today. Go for it.
The media is pushing the idea that this was an intentional terror attack, that this was a right-wing terrorist plowing his car into a crowd of protesters who disagreed with him. But notice here how somebody hits his car with a baseball bat before he actually hits anyone. If the driver was really trying to kill people, why didn't he just plow into the crowd of people between him and the nearby building?
It's a good question, and you see the circle over over the guy with the, I don't know if it was a baseball bat or like a flagpole thing, Antifa flag, but he hits him. And somebody's laughing at my Jesus Atheist channel. Let's play this next one. And this part is kind of graphic. It's where he actually plows into the crowd and then backs up. So if you're sensitive, avert your eyes, but listen.
You can see that once the accident occurs, half a dozen people with bats swarm onto his cars and start smashing out his windows.
Look, watch.
If he was already panicked from somebody hitting his car with a bat in the first place, and then his car got surrounded by people with bats trying to smash his windows out and kill him, of course he would panic further.
Look at all that. Bam!
It's at this point that he backs out to get away and hits even more people on the way out, but most of the people that he hits on the way out were people with bats who were already attacking him.
That's crazy, man. That was a crazy scene. He should not have gotten himself into that situation, but he had to leave, in my opinion. You guys may differ, but I kind of doubt it. Yeah, so the police caught up with him outside town. So before I get to the calls, let's show a little bit of more of the article. Show me like the next paragraph. So Friday's verdict was cheered by those fighting racial and religious hatred. Religious hatred, where are they getting this? That's from the people that hate the Jews, but the people who hate the Jews, it's not religious hatred. It's about they're mad at what the Jews are doing. It's not, they don't hate the religion. Anyways, they just hate, period, but they hate what they're doing. So anyways, this verdict sends a strong message to others that that hate has no place in our society, so says Jonathan Greenblatt, the chief executive of the Anti-Defamation League, who also agrees, by the way, that the term globalist is an anti-Semitic slur. Thank you, spoiler alert, for the reminder about that. So, hate has no place, then what are you doing around here? Anti-Defamation League people who tend to defame white people. So anyways, let's show the next one. I just want to respond to some of these things within the New York Times article, the failing New York Times article. So Mr. Fields showed no emotion at first, and he was polled by the jury of 7 women, 5 men, including 1 African-American man. I don't know. I hate that stuff, that they focus so much on the content of the people who are making up the jury, but it kind of plays a part because white men tend to be the most fair-minded statistically. They tend to vote Republican and stuff. Mr. Fields glanced back toward his mother, who, dressed in black and sitting in a wheelchair, sobbed quietly into a tissue. So this brings me to his mother. And I'm going to... Let's skip ahead. Let's keep going into the article, and then I'll show some extra stuff about him and his mother. So his victim sobs. Okay, so this woman, Star Peterson, is a single mother whose legs and back were broken in the crash. I don't know what a single mother is doing out here. This sounds like maybe a black woman injured in the crash. That's crazy to have your legs and back broken in that crash. But this single mother should not have been out there, in my opinion. What a mess. Showed a little bit. Oh, yeah. And another, Constance Page Young says that this would set up this. Oh, she's concerned about this federal hate crime trial that would be coming, saying that it would set a precedent that white nationalist violence has been present since this nation's inception and is no longer tolerable. So they're acting like white nationalist violence has been present throughout our nation and that it has been tolerated all this time, but no longer. So this Constance Page Young, that sounds like a black woman's name again, but I could be wrong. But anyways, these people are acting like the white nationalist violence is the problem, and it's been tolerated for too long and is no longer tolerable. But black violence is tolerable, and illegal alien violence is tolerable because they tolerate it. They don't even report about it. They don't care. I mean, they report about it a little bit just to give lip service, but they don't really care. And black on white violence is more prevalent than white on black. We all know that stuff. So anyways, show the next one. Mrs. Fields Mr. Fields mouthed the words, "I'm sorry," at this woman, Courtney Commander, whose knee was grazed by the car, and she and 2 other victims left. That's just an interesting side note. He mouthed, "I'm sorry," to somebody. Next one. Jurors were visibly moved by the testimony of victims describing the crash, and it was a crazy crash. 40 people injured? Man. So, Mr. Fields drove away a sneaker still stuck in the grill of his car and was stopped on a road heading out of town. In a conversation with a police officer, his voice flat and calm, he said, "I didn't want to hurt people, but I thought they were attacking me." When he was told that a person died and many were injured, he gasped and sobbed. So, I tend to believe that he didn't really... I tend to believe it was not first-degree murder, which usually means premeditated. Anyways, is there anything else from that? Okay, so I just want to give you a little bit about this guy's family background. Show that extra stuff about his family background. This guy grew up in a messed up family situation. His, like I said, his father died when 4 months before he was born. And that was in a car accident. And his mother was disabled, and she would call the cops on this guy, on this man, young man, kid, really. When he was a kid, she would call the cops on him. He would like threaten her and yell and cuss at her. And let me know if you find it. It should be inside of that folder.
Just the headlines?
No, it should be inside of that white kid. Maybe I didn't give him to you, but I think that I did.
I just see more headlines.
It should be inside.
Killer, right?
Yeah, inside killer white guy. Just talking with Joel here.
No, there's no pictures.
Okay. Is there a folder?
There's a
But it's
folder
empty?
called More details.
More details? Yeah.
Oh, okay, so yeah.
So let me give you more details about this guy. According to Newsmax and Washington Post, James Alex Fields Jr.'s favorite teacher in 2015, when he was a high schooler apparently, Derek Weimer, says that the boy had a history of taking antipsychotic drugs to control his temper and was initially rejected from the Army for the meds. He had been diagnosed with schizophrenia, and he did get into the Army for a short time, but was released for failure to meet training standards in late 2015. And he grew up in Kentucky with his disabled mother, Samantha Bloom. During his 8th and 9th grades, she called the police on him 4 times. He spat in her face, smacked her in the head with a phone, and threatened her with a 12-inch knife, according to 911 call records. She would tell him to stop playing video games, and he would just attack her. So this guy had problems, and white nationalism was not his primary problem. She moved to Ohio, and after the Army, he joined her because he got kicked out of the Army. He couldn't hang. But he'd recently moved into a cheap apartment near her. He should have moved into a cheap apartment far away from her. But anyways, he bought that Dodge Challenger, as I mentioned, with his dead father's trust money, and he called her and left a message that he dropped his cat off at her apartment on the way to Charlottesville. Like I said, this guy never knew his father, who was killed by a drunk driver 5 months before he was born. And when his mother was 16, get this about his mother, his own mother, her father showed up and killed her mother with a shotgun and then killed himself. She was unharmed. So a nasty family's history. Like Jesse talks about with rebuilding the family, that's Exhibit A and the need to rebuild the family and rebuild men. So, that's about that. I am not happy with this verdict, but it's not surprising. And that boy should not have, he shouldn't have been doing all that stuff. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from? Hello, can you hear me? Yes.
Is it? Oh, I'm sorry. Russ from Hampton.
Hey, Russ from Hampton, Virginia. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Cool.
You guys seem to put down going to college.
Yes.
Okay. I just have a question.
Yeah.
There are a lot of professions that require a college education and specific classes and things.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to those, for example, to be a teacher? You have to go to college in order to be a teacher in certain places.
Yeah.
Let's say you want to get hired by the FBI, CIA. They require a college education. So what do you say to those people?
That's fine. I mean, the teacher one is not a good example because teachers tend to be brainwashed liberals, and they tend to brainwash the kids, and they just have this. They tend to be liberals. But to be a nurse, to be whatever, I mean, I'm just saying that people go to college, and college is a total scam in the sense that many people go to college and can't get jobs. And then many people go to college and get indoctrinated even further because the indoctrination really starts prior to that. There's like high school kids that are, and younger, who are very pro-gay now, and they will attack the people who are Christians saying that gay is not okay. So, and they believe in racism and all kinds of stupid stuff. So that's my beef with college, is one, that it's a scam, regardless of whether they're getting brainwashed. And then two, they're getting brainwashed. So that's that. I don't have any problem with, if you're strong enough not to be indoctrinated while going to college so that you can get into the FBI, I guess. Many FBI people are liberals too, by the way. And they're not very objective, to be honest. Many of them.
Why are you so opinionated? Like
that's not opinion. That's my observation. Look, I mean, many of them are liberals.
Okay, and your way is the right way, and anybody that opposes you is wrong.
I don't know what you mean by my way. I'm just saying that liberal is not right.
Your opinion is fact and true, and anybody that opposes you is wrong.
I mean, there may be places where I'm wrong, but in these cases, I'm definitely not wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
And one more question, if I may.
Yeah.
Police brutality doesn't exist?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what say you...
If police brutality were talked about, then black brutality should be talked about by like 10 or 20 or 30 or 100 times more. You know what I mean?
Okay,
because black brutality is like a major problem in this country for blacks and for other races as well. And that's not really talked about because they're not talking about it. And then like black on police brutality is probably more common than police on black. And so like this police brutality as a phenomenon, it's more human brutality because human beings, as I just showed with this James Fields guy, families are so screwed up and then people are growing up so messed up. Brutality is a problem among people. And James Alex Fields, I don't know if he was being purposely brutal. He hit his mother over the head with a phone. I guess that's kind of brutal. So he's definitely capable of it. He had an anger problem, and he was given drugs and all that stuff. So anyways, this police brutality thing, you can say, yeah, there are police who have an anger problem, and they may go a little too far. But many times, in many cases, things are called police brutality that are not police brutality. Or things are called brutality that are not brutality on the part of the cops. Most of the main examples are not good examples of so-called police brutality.
Stop. I agree with you. There are many times when people scream police brutality, and it's not. I agree.
And isn't it interesting? Quickly,
wait.
Let me cut in. No, you wait. Let me cut in. Isn't it interesting that most of the major so-called news stories of so-called police brutality are non-stories? They turn out to be false.
Can I talk now?
Don't get smart with me, son. Yeah.
First of all, I'm not your son. Let's not go there, okay? It's your program, and you can...
Don't be so serious.
I dig that, but, well, whatever. Don't be disrespectful.
Thank you.
Anyway, so what I was saying is police brutality
Thank you, Chad
exists.
Ryan. I like this shirt, too. Police brutality exists in your opinion, in your imagination.
You just said, in all your rhetoric, that many times police...
Well, why do you have to call it police brutality? At that point, it's just brutality. It's not like it's a police phenomenon. It's the police aspect is not the root of it.
I'm going by what you guys say. You're the ones that said police brutality doesn't exist.
Right.
I'm using your words.
Thank you. So then why are you saying it does exist? When I just explained that... Okay. Thanks.
No, you didn't. No. You said that it doesn't... It's every accusation of police brutality is not, and I agree with that. But that's not to say it does not exist. It does. Okay. People will claim stuff, and they will blow it out of proportion. They will lie. Yeah, that happens. Every accusation of police brutality does not exist. But that does not mean that police brutality doesn't exist.
All right. You got the collars riled. So I appreciate it. Yeah, Rodney King Jr., I'm not really convinced that was an example of police brutality, Dragon Energy.
Well, what about in St. Louis, the 4 cops that were indicted for beating up an undercover cop?
Yeah, that was, I don't know. I guess it was brutal. I haven't really looked into the story yet.
Is that not police brutality?
No, that's just brutality.
But it was done by the police, right?
It happened to be done by cops, yes.
So that's police brutality. Is that not?
No, I don't buy that, because that's a trick of the mind,
now,
because they're acting like,
you just don't want to use the word.
Yeah, because it's silly to. Do you believe in black brutality?
Yes.
Then how come you don't use that word?
Because that's not the subject that we're speaking on right now.
It is
Do
now.
I deny it? No.
It isn't. No, I've never heard you use the word black brutality.
How many times have we talked?
We've talked many times, and you tend to complain about cops.
If you ask me to speak on it, then I will speak on it. Yes, I believe in black brutality.
But hold on,
I believe in blacks being
I never
racist.
brought up. Hold on. This show has not even been about the police, but you're calling in about it. I haven't mentioned the police once, except for when they caught James Fields. So now.
Because I was thinking about it when I was on hold all that time. There are a lot of things I can speak to you about.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of stuff.
All right. Anyways, Russ, anything else?
Nah, man. Go on back to your show.
Thank you. Let's get some response. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Quick question. Why come every time a white man do something, y'all say it's mental?
I think I got to hang up on that guy. He's been banned. Anyways. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Oh, thank God. I get to get in on this. It's Giuseppe from Texas. How are you, my brother James?
All right. Fine. Are you on a speakerphone?
No, I'm just yelling at you. It's okay.
All right.
Is that terrible? Is it terrible? I think it's better for the
Anyway, what do you say to Russ?
Oh, this is going to be so beautiful, James. By the way, just as a side note, Friday's show, Jesse's show, your show on Friday, one of the best radio shows I've ever heard in my life.
Wow,
but that's
thank you.
For another day.
Cool.
So Russ makes my point. I'm going to bring back Russ, and I'm going to answer Maine from last week, all in one shot. Watch this.
All right.
So Russ is my hope that black people will save America. He is my example.
All right.
Because if we could reach Russ to wake up and realize that there is not a conspiracy against him as a black man in America, because he is our fellow American. So if he could wake up and say, hey, wait a second, there is no conspiracy against me as a black man. This is a great country and it offers me opportunity. Then he and I could sit together. Then he and I could sit together as Americans and sit down and go, okay, we're both Americans. We're both on the same team. How do we secure our border, make sure that our jobs are well-paying jobs, make sure our poor are fed, make sure our people have proper health care? This is what Americans would do. We would get together as a country.
That's very nice,
and come
but
together as a family.
I don't see Russ coming around. He's too prideful.
But that is my hope. This is why I said that last week. Because the white man, because may I just say this? The reason I say that, and I'm aspiring, it's like I'm saying a poem. I'm saying a prayer, if you will, right? That the salvation, the country will be saved by black people because of that reason. The main reason, I'm sorry, this is what I want to say, is because the white man has given up the country.
No, the whites have to wake up. The whites definitely have to wake up. It's not going to be saved by the blacks if the whites don't wake up. I'm sorry. The blacks do. The blacks can definitely make a big difference. Anybody who wakes up is going to make a difference. Anybody who really actually wakes up is going to make a difference. Look at Trump. Look at Jesse. There's a bunch of people waking up because of coming across Jesse and realizing that he's telling the truth. And then there's the majority or not. So anyways, I appreciate it, Giuseppe. Nice to hear from you.
Okay. Yeah, bye.
Take care.
Thanks.
I didn't realize that it's already 7:45. I mean, whatever, 45 minutes after. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yes, who's this?
Oh, I got on.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
Called in a couple weeks ago.
What did you say your name is? Are you on a speakerphone?
Yeah.
Fix your phone, and then I'll come back to you. By the way, I hung up on somebody. That person is banned from the show. They can't be calling in. They've like gone kind of crazy, and so they're not welcome on this show. So please respect that, sir. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Real from the chat, calling from West Palm Beach.
Hey, Real. What's your name again?
Andrew.
Andrew, good to hear from you. And where are you calling from?
2 things. I'm calling from West Palm Beach.
West Palm Beach. Your phone is a little crunchy.
Sunny South Florida.
Okay, cool.
2 things I want to touch upon.
All right.
It wasn't too long ago in this country where you could actually pursue a university degree without tuition.
Man, your phone is really messed up, Real. Come to get to a better location. I'm gonna come back to you two that have had messed up phones. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, James.
Oh, hey, Maze. Good to hear from you.
I know. But I was listening to the jokester that always come on in the end. I got a good joke for him when he was talking about Noah's Ark.
Are you talking about Skip?
Yeah, whatever his name.
Yeah.
But if the chicken and whatever he said, if it was for the black people, he loved chicken more than black people do. I think so.
Oh, interesting.
And I mean, all the things that everybody eat the same food, but I don't know why they act like we like different. I mean, different things more than they do. Because you break through the lead and knock you out to get to it. And you want me to name some of the things that they love to eat?
I'm not that interested.
Watermelon, collard greens, cornbread, chicken, and we don't eat. Only thing we don't eat is pumpkin pie.
Interesting.
And y'all
they eat sweet potato pie. Do blacks
so
like sweet potato pie?
Ark, huh?
Do blacks like sweet potato pie?
Yes, they do, and you do too.
Yeah, I do. I don't like watermelon. I like watermelon flavored stuff, but I don't like watermelon itself.
Yeah, but regardless, so I don't get it when they talk about the food and you just see them in line eating it themselves. So get rid of that mess. And also, when you was discussing with the guy, the first guy you was talking to.
Yeah, with Russ.
My Jesse Show Friday. That's his opinion.
Oh,
of him thinking it was the greatest show he ever heard. That's not my opinion.
Hey, I don't mind his opinion. That's nice.
I don't either. That's what we have is opinion.
Cool.
We don't have facts, and it's good to get our opinion out because we white to keep some of these crazy people from going crazy.
Right.
And what we are seeing now, like I told you, stand by your man, James. You and Jesse, y'all great white hope.
Trevor Wesley, by the way, shout out. Says,
are y'all going to do Christmas time for him if he has to go?
For who?
Y'all president.
Oh.
For breaking the law.
No, come on. He's not breaking the law.
Y'all going to stand on his behalf and go? Because
I don't care about that, Mace. Let me get this in. This is important. Trevor Wesley says, sweet potato pie is the same as pumpkin pie.
No, it's not. How can sweet potato pie be the same as pumpkin pie? And a pumpkin is different than a sweet potato. Something's wrong at the top.
I know.
Anyway, as I was saying,
they taste similar to me, but they are different.
Are y'all willing to serve time in his place?
Huh?
Are y'all willing to serve time in y'all president's place? If that was Obama, how would you respond to it?
I don't know what you're referring to, but Trump is going to make it.
If it was Obama, how would you respond to it?
I don't know what you're referring to.
Hanging around with crooks and signing off on papers with crooks and doing all kinds of stuff.
Which crooks?
So if Obama was doing that, how would you respond to it?
I would come down hard on Obama, but I'd go easy on Trump because Trump is a real guy and Obama's fake. Obama's phony.
Why are you saving it now?
Huh?
You're gonna have to eventually do it.
I mean, I don't. Whatever. I'm not that interested in whatever's going on.
As I say, stand by your man and show the world that y'all love him.
Thank you. I will. Very much so.
Excuse me?
I'm loyal to Trump because he's loyal to us the people. We the people.
And I don't understand what you said when the guy, he was saying that we could save America.
Yeah. But
America would be everybody pushing the evil people and the people that want to.
It's not going to be everybody. It's just going to be the few.
And get them out of the way and think they're
strong.
Push the ones that think they're supposed to rule everybody out the way. And let everybody take a chance at the apple and bite it.
Nice to hear from you, Maze.
And if that's what's going to change America.
You going to catch church?
Sure, I'm going to listen. Oh, what is that? That's church.
Church, Bond, Rebuilding the Man.
I thought that was, okay.
All right, cool.
This is the funniest church I ever seen.
Thank you. All right, Maze, take care.
Oh, yeah, have a good one.
You too.
But tell the jokester to use that one the next time you go sit down and eat something.
All right,
Just think about it. If he was on Noah's Ark, he'll be fooled.
I got to go, Maze. Take care.
All right, have a good one.
You too. Let's try Let's try this person again. Caller, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, hello?
Yes, who's this?
Oh, is my phone working good now?
It's kind of messy, but what's your name and where are you calling from? Speak
this is,
up.
Pete again.
Pete.
Calling from Houston.
Okay. What's up? How can I help?
How you doing?
Fine, thank you.
So, first off, I just wanted to clarify. Last time I called in, I didn't curse.
Yeah, that's right. I
misunderstanding.
Yeah. Okay. So Pete is the one who I think he. Anyways, he said that I thought that he said I was being a little sh bleep bleep, but he did not. He said I was being a little. What was the word you used?
It's shook.
Shook. He was saying I was shook. So to Mark
Correct.
and Joel and everybody, he did not cuss. He was saying that I was shook, and so I couldn't respond to his answer because he was denying something that happened to be true, that most about the left being more violent than the right. But anyways,
Right.
Next point. Yeah, so Pete did not cuss, guys.
Okay.
I'm glad you called in and cleared that up. I meant to clear that up.
No problem. Thanks, man. I was just gonna say that I guess staying on the topic of the guy in Charlottesville.
Yeah.
The terrorist who killed the protester.
I don't know if he's a terrorist. I don't know if it's politically motivated.
He's definitely a terrorist. But I just want to say that I think that this contributes to the reason why this happens with a lot of young white men is because a lot of the times they feel alienated. They feel like they're losing their status in the country. Like
I've heard that.
Like they used to be on top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and also I think that
this boy was never on top. I'll tell you that. This boy never was on top.
As a group, like as a group status, because it used to be all white people in the country, and they pretty much used to be at the top of the social stratum, and now they're kind of losing that because blacks and Hispanics are catching up, and they feel kind of scared about that. And I also think that
this sounds like it's just not a good explanation. But anyways, go on.
And I also think that the reason why they're not white people aren't having babies as much is because I think women just don't respect white men anymore. Like white women don't respect white men.
I could understand that. Yeah, white men have become very
soft.
weak.
Yeah, they're very weak. They're very soft.
Mm-hmm.
They don't assert themselves, and that's why they're going to more alpha oriented
or want to be alpha. Yeah,
color.
Right.
So yeah, and there's probably other reasons too.
Yeah.
But
and then the white men are going to the Asians and stuff like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. But
or turning gay. Or just not getting married. Period. Yeah. There's a crisis of men, and it's although I don't know if you realize it, but it's affecting the so-called alpha males of color too. It's just they're able to imitate that aspect of it by whatever. Anyways, anything else, Pete?
Yeah. And then also that guy Giuseppe.
Pete, I gotta hang up on you because your phone is just too bad. You're gonna have to comment about Giuseppe in the comment section or call back next week. But take care, man.
All right.
But that was definitely not terrorist. I mean, I don't believe that was terrorist. There's no evidence that it was terrorist. Anyways, let me check back with Real from West Palm.
James,
hey.
Is this better?
Yes, you're sounding a lot better. Thank you for bearing with me. What was your name again?
Perfect. Andrew. Just let me comment on something that guy said quickly about the so-called white man being threatened by losing their status.
Yeah, that's
not
what's really happening.
Because most white people don't think in color.
Right.
Secondly, the country is so gigantic.
Your phone's getting messed up again.
What's that?
Stay close to your phone and don't move about.
The country is so gigantic that the culture in, let's say, South Georgia is totally different than the culture in Los Angeles. So to think that you're threatened by a black mayor in whatever, Baltimore, and you live in West Virginia, it just doesn't make any logical sense.
Right. It's true, man. Anything else real?
Yeah, one more thing. Universities used to be free in this country not too long ago. You got the ability to go to a city or state college only paying for your own book. So there's free tuition in a lot of city colleges.
I did
New
not
York,
know that.
L.A. And the reason that was destroyed is because the federal government started backing tuition loans. So they just jacked up the rates and they were guaranteeing it. So it's like lending somebody money.
Subsidized housing increases housing cost. That's another principle. Same thing with education.
Yeah. Well, thanks, James.
All right, appreciate it. You too. Thank you. Take care. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, James, Quentin Horn here again. I spoke with you all last Sunday.
Nice. Where are you calling from again?
What's that?
Where are you calling from again?
Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, this happened last night. I was shocked by this. We got a notification that we were mentioned in someone's Instagram story. And it was a young lady that called our business a scam and told all of her friends and followers to never order from us. She's never been a customer. And she just went on this rant.
Yeah.
So I thought that this was a way for me to, since this was public, I'm going to educate the people that are on the fence, so that our loyal followers, the people don't even know what's going on. So I defended my brand. I'm not going to sit around and just feel like, well, okay, this person has the right to just talk about us and call us scammers and tell the public that, never to order from us.
That's going to happen, man. I mean, I'm sure that I don't think that you're a scammer. I got to go, Quentin. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, take care. Last caller, I believe. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Are you talking to me?
Yes. Who's this?
My name is Johnny.
Hey, Johnny. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Chicago, and I'm trying to figure out why is it that I'm a white man. Trying to figure out why the white man is always complaining that everybody's trying to do everything to him when they're not. I think the problem lies in the bedroom.
I wonder if this is a black guy. I gotta go, Johnny. Sounded like a troll. That's what I say. Last caller. Last caller real fast.
Is it me?
Yes. Who's this?
Awesome. Hey, listen, I want to say thank you so much for what you guys are doing, man. I love your show. I love Jesse's show. You guys have helped me overcome my anger. And I don't know, man, you guys are just a blessing, man. I really want to thank you for everything you're doing.
What'd you say your name is?
My name is Caleb from Florida, Orlando.
Nice. Appreciate it, man.
Hey, man, I'm going to be catching church soon, too.
Right on. Yeah, church with Jesse Lee Peterson.
I want to come visit you guys sometime. I don't know when, but I want to come visit you guys real soon.
Yeah, right on. I appreciate that, Caleb. Thank you for the call.
Yeah, man. God bless you, brother.
Thank you. Take care.
All right.
Let me just briefly talk about this Colorado father. I have like a minute left. Let's show just some of the pictures. So this man, white, who happens to be white, whatever. There's him with his mistress. And her name is, I forget what, but Nichol something. So she acts like she's an unwitting mistress because he told her that he is separated from his wife and living in his and his wife's basement. And that's not a good excuse for dating a married man. But anyways, there's his real wife whom he killed. She was pregnant. She looks exactly the same as the one that he's dating. That's just a side note. And there's his family, his daughters that he killed. What a mess, man. So this guy, he was in Colorado. I ignored this story. I just didn't look into it for all these few months. But this happened really fast. So basically, I think he killed them in August. And then he acted like they were missing and like he really wanted them back and win in the media and all that stuff. And then his mistress, his girlfriend, whom he met at work or something, she's like, wait, like she was pregnant? Because she thought that he was long separated from her or whatever. But this is just another example of the messed up family relationships. And I want to show show the cards. They're so gushy and disgusting and embarrassing. This is humiliation for this man on top of committing murder, because committing murder is a true, like, one of the biggest shames. But this guy was asking for like a fresh start with his mistress in love. I got this from People magazine. Show some of these nasty cards. Okay, so it's like a kiss, a touch, a smile, a squeeze, blah, 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 blah. And it gets even worse. It descends into even like nastier, gushier, mushier, sick stuff. Oh, show that, go back up one. Okay, so he writes this whole letter to her the 30th of July of this year. And this is what I like about this story, that he went through the court quickly. But anyways, he's like, wow, where do I even start? The first day I saw you, you took my breath away. And it gets even worse. It's so disgusting. He quotes song lyrics. Show the next one. Like, he gave her a birthday card. And so, ugh. And it's just so gross. But I just want to point out that, like, these people show these, and this one is nasty. Like, he's like, I don't know if this came with the card, but it's like a year of stuff you love and brand new dreams. You can make it come true. All this nasty stuff. And I would say it's nasty because it's so, like, romantic. And it's, like, humiliating when these things get out to the public because it's so fake. Consider the fact that this guy gave this to this woman and acted like he, quote-unquote, loved her. And, yeah, here's more. A nod, a grin, a chuckle, a hug. I can't believe that this guy is doing this. Like, it's embarrassing. But this is what you do when you're falling for a woman, I guess. And I guess, like, people, a lot of guys do this. Like, this is him with his actual wife, whom he killed. So, So don't fall for that romance stuff. It's not love. That's just proof that it's not love, because he's, like, killed his wife and unborn child and 2 daughters. And I was just wondered what this woman that he was dating is going through now, knowing that she was falling for this guy who is like a killer. And I guess that's just an example that that mushy stuff is just disgusting and fake and phony. It reminds me a lot of that religion stuff that we played at the very beginning of the show, where all these fake politicians like Obama and Hillary are reciting the Apostles' Creed like they really believe in God, which they don't. So I just wanted to show that to you. That's nasty. And I guess that's that for the show. I'm sorry, callers, I can't get to the rest of your calls, but I appreciate it. Go to rebuildingtheman.com/church, rebuildingtheman.com/church for real church, real stuff, and to talk about real love versus fake love, which is hate, like Jesse says. It's so true, man. All right, guys, take care.
Wow.